Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you another painting tutorial. This is actually the first Tyranid painting tutorial on the channel, which is kind of funny seeing as how my Tyranid army is one of the largest fully painted collections that I have for Warhammer 40,000, so it's a bit weird that I haven't done one up until now. But I'm going to be doing this one on the beautiful new Parasite of Mortrex. I know it's not quite still new, but it's the newest Tyranid model that we have our hands on. And I'm going to be showing you guys how to paint it up in the style of Tyranid that I've been using for the army that's been in the battle reports over the last couple of weeks. I've had a lot of comments asking about how I did it, and so I'm going to show you in this video here today. I also want to say thank you guys for the continued support on the channel. Make sure that if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds out of your day and it means the world to me, helping me grow this into something that will last many years to come. So thank you guys so much, and let's get into the video. Okay, the Parasite of Mortrex. So after getting the miniature constructed, I gave it a coat of Chaos Black spray, and then I gave it a zenithal coat of Wraithbone. Give it that kind of warm start for the contrast paint. I then moved over to contrast Golem Flesh and applied that to all of the soft skin on this miniature. So anywhere that isn't carapace. You want to put this on in a nice even coat. As you can see, there's so much texture on the fleshy parts of the Tyranid models that just kind of jumps out at the model once you apply something like a contrast. And Tyranids and stuff are miniatures that are almost designed to take contrast. So of course that is a tool I'm going to use heavily in the painting of this. So I just followed it through, making sure I got the wings and stuff as well. I will be washing and then dry brushing this skin. But a lot of the original color will shine through, so try your best not to get any kind of pooling anywhere you don't want it to. Focusing on one part of the miniature at a time, so for instance the entire tail. Applying the contrast to that entire section and then checking to see where it pools and scraping it away. And then kind of moving your way around the miniature to other parts, torso, head, wings, that kind of thing. And like I said, one section at a time so that you can control the pooling. This guy is finally getting added to my already existing Tyranid army, which sits at 6,500 points. So I'm delighted to finally have this guy up and running, and hopefully to see him on a battle report table soon enough. So this is it after the contrast has dried. Next thing I'm going to do is move over to Carrierberg Crimson, and we are going to shade all of the parts that we just used the contrast, because I don't want this kind of pinky skin. I want this more unnatural skin, more alien-like. So the Carrierberg Crimson applied to that will give you this really nice kind of sore reddened skin look. Something that may have only been created a couple of days ago and then pushed out into the war zone.
Fly, my British, fly, fly.
So it's a rather quick step to get these two bits and pieces done. I'd say kind of 5-6 minutes brush time in total. The longest part is of course waiting for those two stages to dry. Once that section is done, we are left with a color that is like this, and now it's time to brighten it up a little bit. So I'm going to use Screaming Skull for this. Once again, I'm going to stick to that kind of pallid style, and we're just going to use the beautiful Artist Opus dry brushes, and we're going to give all of that pinky skin a light dry brush and just catch those raised areas to add a little bit more texture and life back into those skin tones. It's a quick stage once again to go around this entire miniature. I think the results speak for themselves. I think it looks absolutely brilliant. Just once again, follow around the entire section of this miniature that I've already done with the contrast and the shade, that kind of pinky tone. And when it's done, you will have a miniature that will look something like this. Now it's time to start working on the carapace. So for that, I start with Stegodon Scale Green, and I apply this to all of the armored chitinous sections of this miniature. So it's quite easy to spot these parts of the miniature. I also decided to do all of the claws and spikes and all the tail section, all of those other bits that are kind of like a harder material, and do them in the same base coat section. This is the step where you want to be careful. You don't want to hit any of this pinky skin. It's going to be really difficult to kind of fix up and repair if you make a mess of it. So take your time with this. Next, we're going to jump up to Altiac Blue, and we're going to do kind of like a feathering technique. This is the style of chitinous carapace you see on most Tyranids, where it kind of is like one color fading into a kind of multiple colors the further it goes down. And it's a very simple technique. You just go to the brighter color, you go kind of 80% of the way up the carapace and then just feather in a downward motion. So you're going to leave kind of a jagged lines up at the top, and the darker color will be up at the top as well, and then just move around. And you just basically follow that technique across all of the different layered armored sections of the model, just adding a little bit of extra color and brightness to it. It's a very quick step. Here it is on a slightly larger piece. Sorry that it's not in the middle of the screen. The bane of my existence trying to paint in the middle of the camera. And there it is. As you can see, it's quite a subtle effect, but it does definitely add something. It's time to move over to Temple Guard Blue. This is going to be almost like a edge highlight. So it's kind of a feathering edge highlight, if that makes sense. We're just going along the hardest, sharpest edges of the miniature, and just going in with that brighter blue. But it's not going to be a straight line across. You don't want any kind of straight lines with this, as this is an all biological kind of creature. You know, straight 90-degree angles don't really happen in nature. So these guys shouldn't have anything like that as well. It should be all kind of rough and textured looking. So I followed this around all of the sharp edges of the miniature. This may seem like a lot of steps to be working on the carapace, but as it's like the main focal point of the Tyranid army, it's nice to have a nice kind of carapace style. Next we jumped over to Ardcoat to give it that kind of glossy beetle look. It's what I think Tyranid carapace should look like. They should have that kind of glossy hard look, like some of the aliens in Starship Troopers or something like that. They always had that kind of sheen across them. And just a simple quick coat of Ardcoat across all of those blue sections will give you that exact result. Now originally when I was painting this army, at this stage I thought I was finished, but there was something just not sitting right. I didn't like it. So a friend of mine suggested I use Doomable Brown, watered down, and painted into all of the recesses of the carapace. And this really was the last touch that I needed to make the model pop the way I wanted to. I ended up doing this exact same step across the entire Tyranid army, and I was absolutely delighted with the result. As you can see, it's quite an easy thing to do with the Tyranid army, because the chitin is so clearly defined. You can see exactly where the one plate meets the next, and all you gotta do is lightly brush in some of that color in there. And when that's finished, that's the end of the painting. That is a finished Parasite of Mortrex miniature, ready to be deployed into a battlefield and wreak havoc on the enemy. I'm delighted to have this miniature finished. I finally get to put him on my cabinet shelf with the rest of my Tyranids where he belongs. And I am quite happy with how he turned out. I hope you guys are also happy with how he turned out. You like the process, and you think about perhaps painting your Tyranid army in the same scheme. Guys, and there we have it, one Parasite of Mortrex painted to match my personal hive fleet. I think it's a pretty interesting color scheme. As you can see, it's extremely quick to do. I bashed out 6,500 points of these guys in about kind of a month, maybe a month and a half. So if you want to get a quick and easy hive fleet done, I recommend this one. Make sure you give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Drop any questions you have in the comments below, and I will get back to each and every one of you guys. And once again, please subscribe to the channel. It does make all the difference. If you really like what I do and want to support me even further to make bigger and grander videos, there's links to things like my Patreon below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.